And welcome back.
Doesn't that get you jazzed up to do a podcast?
I am jazzed. I'm fully erect.
Oh my goodness. Well, after
Oh, God. Trials and tribulations of the day, folks.
my goodness,
Podcasting remains hard.
we've been going at this for about an hour.
Yeah, podcast. Well, we have a bunch of new equipment. I mean, the funny thing is we have a bunch of new equipment, and all of our struggles so far is all regarding our old equipment.
Yes.
So, yeah, this is fun.
So we took a week off. In case
I wouldn't say it was off. I would
Yeah.
say we didn't record a podcast for this week, for last week, this week, whatever.
Yeah, we're trying to branch off into other areas that we like and we think other people will like.
Things that pique us.
Yes, and
Pique. Pique.
And in case you didn't know, check it out. We are doing kind of a run through of Symphony of the Night currently, and it came to light during that Razzle had not played any of the original Castlevania
I hate my life.
games, and we might, who knows? We might go through some original NES stuff. But I don't want this to be a like a channel of hodgepodge, like a podcast, but we'll stick around the.
We're sort of diversifying a little bit. I think it's because part of it is because that's kind of what I always wanted to do anyway. Like I always wanted to do like let's play style videos. The problem is I've tried doing them on my own before, and without an audience. Like let's say I had a huge Twitch following, that would work fine for me because I would have people to talk to and to bounce stuff off of and use all my witticisms. But by myself, it's just me playing a game silently.
Yeah,
like it doesn't help anybody. So not that it helps anybody when we're playing together, but it
helps us.
Yeah, it's a lot easier for me. It's a lot more entertaining, I think. When there's two people, when there's at least like a conversation and discourse. So, and
we've always maintained the standpoint that we're really doing this for us.
That's true. It's self-aggrandizing. I mean, the internet makes it so easy to bolster my ego.
Yeah.
These days, it's ridiculous.
So yeah, go check that out. Razzle is quite fond of the Symphony of the Night.
I am quite.
And it's actually, I will say one thing about it. I've watched, and I watch a lot of, YouTubers do Let's Plays and stuff.
He really does.
Like, I love everything video gaming from, Atari or ZX Spectrum all the way to PlayStation 4. But I was watching your really, because I'm not playing, but your playthrough.
Hey, there is no Razzle without his Dazzle.
I know, but you love the game so much more than I do that it's only fitting that you play it. But I've watched other people do playthroughs, and you're not cringy to watch.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, it's like, okay, like he knows how to play the game. I watch other people and it's like, ugh, you are terrible at this game. You have no business doing this Let's Play.
Well, okay, so I'm glad that we've, hopefully this will get us mega internet famous and people have a very high respect for us. So that way when I play a game that I haven't played a million times.
Yeah.
And I'm terrible at.
They can point out and be like, well, at least he had Symphony of the Night.
He'll always have Symphony of the Night.
Always have Symphony of the Night.
It'll always be with him.
Oh, well. So, you've listed some things here. I had a few things too, but let's what is this?
Okay, so I have a few topics. We don't have to go through all of them. The first one on the list of topics is arguing with GPS, and it makes me fucking crazy. My mom does this. Lots of people do this. My mom does this shit. Like my mom, we're in the suburbs of Chicago, and my mom has lived in the suburbs of Chicago her entire life. She doesn't anymore, but she lived here for 60 years. And so she's used to her way of navigating the south suburbs of Chicago.
Sure.
And so when she's in town and she's like, well, yeah, I'm going to take, I don't know, should I take this road or that? I'm like, just put it in the GPS. Just put it in Google. The men in the sky know more than we do
yes.
about what's going on right now. Like, and she'll put shit in the GPS, and then it's like, why is it taking me this way? I don't even... No, I'm not doing that. Like, it fucking knows. It knows if there's an accident.
Right.
It knows if there's traffic. It is aware of things you cannot possibly be aware of. I understand that in the mid-70s, it made sense to cut through this forest preserve and then go down this alley and make a left at Farmer John's fucking inflatable tube stand. Like, I get it. But Google's smarter than you.
Yeah.
Stop fighting it. And it makes me crazy.
I have this argument on a daily basis because I'll put if I'm going to the grocery store 4 miles away, I'm putting it in Google Maps.
If there's a mass casualty between me, if it's around the corner, I don't see it.
You don't
Google
know.
knows.
Google knows.
Google knows.
Google has never failed me.
I do not understand. Why do you have it? Why have a fucking GPS? Why own one? And my mom's worse than that. My mom not only doesn't use the GPS on her phone, she uses like a 10-year-old Garmin that she plugs in her fucking car.
Yeah, that still doesn't have the 355 to 80.
It doesn't have half the maps of the United States. Yeah. It doesn't have traffic. She trusts that, but doesn't trust her phone.
Yeah, this was back when there was the maps are so current. There's East Russia, and there's
yeah, exactly. Constantinople was Istanbul, or the other way around.
Yeah, no, it's I completely agree. I don't understand my grandparents. Of course, they're older.
Yeah, they have much more of an excuse.
They do, but they're even worse. You know what they do?
Print out Google Maps.
They go to MapQuest.
MapQuest. I didn't know that was still online.
I think it's still a thing. And they'll print out the directions, and it's like, guys. I mean, and my grandfather has a cell phone, so he has no excuse.
Phones are for phone calls.
Look at that.
MapQuest
still exists.
And it's not actually just using Google Maps in the background either. It actually uses OpenStreetMap and Mapbox. Those two uber reliable services you've totally heard of.
I haven't heard of street whatever since the physical the antenna that you'd put in the back of the car. And
oh man, I want to find coffee. MapQuest, find me coffee. Oh, this is promising.
Mustard seed.
There's just a bunch of fucking JSON code or JavaScript on the page. This is super trustworthy.
Yeah.
I hope your grandparents print this shit out.
Yeah.
Partial data by Infogroup.
Wait. How do I get to bracket result dot low rate bracket?
Yeah, it's tough. You actually put that into Google. It'll tell you. Yeah, I'm done with Bob's direction site.org. Fuck, what was that old one? Alta Vista? No, the other one. The one that everybody had a sub website on a million years ago. Angel Fire.
Oh, Angel Fire.
Maps.angelfire.
Yeah.
That's essentially what fucking MapQuest is at this point.
Well, my mom just messaged me. I need to get rid of all of the toxic chemicals in my life.
That makes sense. Wait, does she mean me?
What?
I think she probably means me. I got the impression that your mom wasn't a big fan of me. I get the impression though your mom probably isn't a big fan of most people.
My mom is I won't really go into a lot of the family stuff, but I will say that her and I haven't always seen eye to eye on a lot of things. I think a lot of it was I was younger and
I think
had that thing that a lot of people have with their parents.
I think that she's smart enough to know that if she were to do anything to try and distance us, that she'd only be pushing you further into my arms. So I'll say this much about her. I have been sick a lot in my life. Many hospital stays, even from a baby all the way up to adulthood. And she was always there. She was always first person in the room, first person to be there, and she's always been there to try to health wise. But she's watching a documentary. Fake news.
Yeah. So I moved out at a very young age.
Me too.
Yeah, we we both did. And looking back, I do regret some of it. I think I did move out a little too soon, but I think a lot of it, made me stronger. I moved out, I had kids, I was married. I mean, I was all
Yeah,
this
you
before
had
2022.
yeah.
And yeah, a lot of it, most of it turned to dog shit, but it
Well, not your kids, but
no, not the
yeah.
kids. Kids are the greatest thing ever. But outside of that, it was, it made me grow more. And I think I was an adult a lot
Yeah.
quicker than some people.
Yeah, that's why I don't understand like you hear about people living with their parents till they're in their 40s. I'm like, dude, even if like you enjoy them doing your laundry, like how do you reconcile that in your mind? Like, don't you want any of your own freedoms?
You know what? I get that point of view.
And it's funny is the interest, the obvious elephant in the room there just occurred to me, but
well,
it's a little different.
it is a little different. I do currently live with my father, but it is the weirdest living
Yeah,
situation.
it was kind of like when I lived with my father. It wasn't. You're not living with a parent. You have a distant roommate.
Yeah, and him and I have a great relationship, and he's him and I are very similar in our hermit, semi-hermit like ways. He stays downstairs, plays Fallout, eats beef jerky,
Oh man,
and he's living
the
the
life.
fucking dream, if you ask me.
That's the life.
I
just remember the story you told me where he's sitting there playing poker on PlayStation with a full bottle of bullet
oh
bourbon.
yeah, bullet bourbon.
And you're like, okay, I'm going out now. Like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
And you come back like 4 hours later.
He's
He's still playing
still
poker,
fucking there.
and the bottle of bourbon is empty.
Gone. He'll drink. He will kill a bottle of bullet, and or he's into tequila now. It's really weird. He'll
weird.
just kill a bottle of tequila.
You know who else likes tequila? My mom.
Uh,
Very weird.
Yeah.
My mom will have one glass of wine like during Thanksgiving, and her whole fucking face turns red, and she's but she'll do shots of tequila with me.
she was a little tipsy at your wedding.
She was.
Yeah.
She was drinking before the wedding started.
Mhm.
Because she was dealing with the bridesmaids and like wrangling everybody. She was she needed a drink. But we get the last several times myself and Mrs. Razzle have hung out with her, we got her plastered like several times. So it's good. Our relationship in my elder years is flourishing.
Well, that's I think that's what happens. I think my mother and I had a garbage relationship, and a lot of it was my fault. I wasn't.
I'm agreeing with you, but not in your side.
In your
I'm
case
agreeing
too.
on my side of it.
Yeah, I was a dirtbag growing up. I wasn't the kid that was going out and drinking and doing drugs, and I did good in school. I respected most of the rules in the house. It was just the way I talked to my parents.
Oh yeah. See, I did awful in school. I didn't go out and do like get drunk and do drugs. I mean, I did those things, but it never was a problem. I never got caught. I never like got arrested. I never had to like go to rehab or any of that shit. The most drugs I've ever done is smoke some weed and I would get drunk, but it was never an issue. So, but I also did terrible in school, and I talked like I talk now. So, but to my parents in their role of authoritarian, that shit didn't fly. So
yeah, and I think as I've gotten older, I look back and I don't talk to my parents. Well, my mother and my stepfather. I talk to my dad every day, but I don't talk to them as much as I probably should. Like, she texted me while we're doing this. I haven't talked to her in weeks.
Yeah, I haven't talked to my mom in a couple weeks either.
And
she was here. She did stay with us for like 2 weeks though.
Well, yeah.
And then I haven't talked to her in a couple weeks.
Yeah, you
I haven't talked to my dad in a couple weeks either. That's a whole nother.
Well, that's a whole nother
ball of misery.
But we're our relationship is probably, I would say, at least 10 times better than it was growing up. I think what also played a huge part in it is that the older I got and the more responsible I got, the more they respected me as an adult. Like when I was 22, 23, 24, they still talked to me like I was 12. It wasn't until, oh, you have a job and, you have this and you have these things going for you. Okay, we can start talking to you like an adult. So, yeah, she's actually messaging me right now because I have really bad asthma, and she's watching a documentary about all of these chemical products that in other countries are banned, but the United States doesn't ban them because the United States, you know, big pharma or whatever,
the biggest pharma.
Yeah, they which I agree with, and she said that you have to get rid of all the chemicals in your house because they're it's like, hey, we're about 33 years too late. I already have it.
It's a little too late.
Yeah, I already got it, babe. So
I has the ASMR, as they would say in Lord of the Flies.
And I was, and little Dazzle 2 was sick.
Littler, yeah.
Little Dazzle 2 was in the hospital last week for his asthma, and that was really sad. Ooh.
Yeah, that was well, it's funny, not funny, but when I got the message from you that you were in the hospital, and I was it's a fairly regular occurrence, to be fair. It's like a once a year or so occurrence. So I was like, yeah, let me know if you need anything, blah blah blah. And then I messaged Mrs. Dazzle, and she was like, I was like, how's he doing? She's like, he looks fine to me. I'm like, okay, that's an odd response. And then I found out it was your youngling, your offspring.
Yeah, for first time in a long time, it wasn't me. Even though a week before that,
yeah,
I was almost in the hospital. But
I feel like you're always almost in the hospital.
Yeah, I wake up every day on the verge of being in the hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah, like even today, my allergies and asthma are kind of wonky. As you can hear, my sniffles, but that's also because of the Razzle feline.
Razzle cat.
What's this next one here? This is interesting.
I don't remember what specifically put this into my head. But okay, so the thing I wrote is piracy is easy, TV is hard. So I don't remember what specifically put this into my head, but it's true. It's just so much easier to go out and pirate TV content than it is to like pay for it and stream it and all of that shit. So it's like,
not to say that we do that.
No, but it is so much easier, especially around the world, like where you just can't watch certain things in certain parts of the world. It's like, if content creators want, I think that's one of the reasons that YouTube is so one of the reasons it's so popular is that everything that anyone puts on YouTube anywhere, that's not true. It's not true?
Yeah, there are restrictions.
But
region restrictions.
Right, but what I'm saying is, like, you and I, when we put something on there, our stuff is available around the world. If we choose for it to be.
If we choose for it to be.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Unless you live in some sort of weird Korean that filters Korea, everything.
North Korea, China, all that.
But yes.
But yeah, whereas stuff that you like, if you distribute something on Netflix, but Universal is your backing studio, Netflix may be available in certain countries, but because of the deal between Netflix and Universal, your content may not be available in certain countries till certain it's just all that does is fuel piracy. That's all it does.
Well, yeah. Well, you know what else I think it is, because when I read that, the first thing I think of is, what's the one thing that you hate the most about watching something on television?
Well, I don't watch a lot of live television, but I would say commercials.
Commercials.
Right.
It is a dead advertising medium. Nobody watches commercials.
People are willing to pay more to get rid of commercials.
I'll pay $7 more a month for Hulu if I don't get any ads.
Dude, Hulu commercials are the fucking worst.
They're almost as bad as live TV.
No, they're worse. You want to know why? Because at least with live TV, there's somebody curating that shit. With Hulu, it's the same commercial every 5 minutes over and over again.
Yeah.
It's the fucking worst. Like, we use my brother-in-law's Hulu, but he only pays the $7 a month. And I message, I'm like, dude, I'll give you the extra money. Like, I'll pay you in
advance.
Yeah, I'll give you a year's worth every time, because he lives out of state. Every time I see you, like Christmas, Thanksgiving, I'll pay you for the year. Just please, for the love of God, I can't deal with it because it's the same. Bad. It's the same commercial.
I know.
Over like Handmaid's Tale's awful to begin with, and then I have to watch these fucking terrible commercials every 5 seconds. Like.
We were watching Bob's Burgers, and I made that comment. We were watching Bob's Burgers, Mrs. Dazzle and I. I'm not a huge fan of the show. She likes it. And I must have seen the same, like, I don't know if it was Cialis or it was some sort of medication.
It's clearly a targeted ad.
It clearly. And I had to see the same fucking thing like 100 times, and I'm like, I get it. You got the black guy, the Chinese guy, the white girl. They're all walking through the park. They're all happy. They're taking their drugs, and over and over. And I was just like, man, like I told her, I was like, because it's her parents, Hulu. Mm-hmm. I was like, please convince your mother. I will pay for it. If you want to continue to watching this at my house, I can't do the commercials. And again, like there was a point in time before the internet, before mainstream internet, where that was the advertising choice.
Yeah, there was that and newspapers and like Times Square.
People would pay millions of dollars for their Super Bowl spots, and half the people who watch the Super Bowl just watched it for the commercials. And we're at a point now where people have to realize we don't care. We don't watch commercials. We'll DVR something and fast forward through them, or we'll pay the extra $7 to not see them, or we'll pay for YouTube Red so we don't get ads. We just don't. People don't respond to that type of advertising, but they still do it. If they cut out all the commercials, okay? Now here's what the problem is. Here's why they can't cut out the commercials. Because they work in 30-minute and 60-minute blocks. That's how TV works. You can't take a 25-minute or 22-minute TV show and have that odd, like, okay, from 6 to 6:22, we're going to have Wheel of Fortune, and then we're going to have the 6:22 news, and it just doesn't work.
Well, I mean, it would require changing of the format of the shows in general, but I think the other problem is that, like, in order to provide TV for free, to consumers, people who consume over-the-air TV, they have to have commercials in order to support that content. Like, not everybody's going to pay for TV.
I think the people that don't pay for TV, you're talking like over-the-air.
Yeah, over-the-air antennas.
Is such a small, minute percentage. Like, do you think that Comcast, Universal, ABC, NBC, how much revenue do you think that they're getting from the commercial makers who are kicking back them money to air the commercials? And how much money do you think they're getting from the commercials to justify it? I don't think it's a I don't think a positive.
That's the only way those networks exist. That's the only way they make money is commercials.
No.
There's no. What other product does NBC have that generates NBC revenue? And let's take out selling DVDs of their shows.
Well, the NBC Studios, it makes more content than just television.
All right, ABC.
ABC's owned by Disney.
Okay, what I'm saying.
ESPN's owned by Disney.
But it wasn't at one point.
All of the stations are owned by Disney.
Yeah, everything in the world is now. But
Fox
what I'm saying is
a deal
before
with Disney.
that, that's the only way those companies make money.
Back then. Not now is what I'm saying.
No.
Now they don't need commercials. They don't need commercials.
They can't exist. I'm not saying I like them.
No.
But I'm saying that they can't exist without commercials.
If you can have an ABC streaming service, that's literally.
Well, they do.
I know, but that's what it should be. we just get rid of stations. We don't need stations anymore. We don't need television stations. What you do is you get Comcast. Yeah, pull that up and see what that is. You get Comcast, and you get a Comcast box. You know what this box is? This box is just whether it be an Android based or some sort of internet box,
Mm-hmm.
and it has every station has an app, and all of the apps you stream. That's it.
I like it, and I would pay for it.
And you would pay for it. You would pay, here, Comcast, here's $100. Give me 3 internet boxes. Give me my modem or whatever. Give me my triple play. and you go into the box, and it's like, all right, stream abc.com. There's no ads. You want to know why? Because each app is a monthly fee.
Well, right.
So instead of paying $100 for a box, but you get 300 channels, you're paying $100 a month, but $7.99 is going towards ABC, $7.99 is going towards NBC, $7.99 is
so
going
just
towards whatever.
package the streaming
Package,
services,
and then you could pick and choose. You could be like, okay, I want ABC, NBC, ESPN, I want yada yada yada, and you could do live streaming because they all have live streaming. And from there, if you don't watch A&E, you don't get A&E. If you don't watch AMC, you don't get AMC. And each one has their own, and you have a browser built in, and that would be the way to go. Get rid of over-the-air cable.
Well, that's sort of a contradiction in terms, but I get your point.
Well, you still need something to fucking a camera
Right.
pointed at something, but you don't need, you don't need a live feed anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you want to watch live NBC News, the NBC app should be able to stream you live 6:00 news. If you want to watch the 6:00 news at 8:30 because you're working, then you should be able to play it through the app because it's available, for streaming.
So the national TV ad revenues were $41.9 billion this year. 42.3, and it's trending downwards. But it was $42.3 billion last year, $43.3 billion the year before. So it's not nothing. That's how TV stations make money. That's how they do it.
Yes.
But there was a concerning amount of dead air there.
Here, because I was trying to formulate what I was going to say. But that doesn't take into account how much the ad companies are paying television $42 billion.
Right.
Okay.
They're paying the studios, the different NBC, ABC, whatever.
Right. How much does that equate to sales?
Oh, that's not. I agree with you, but that's not, and that's probably part of the reason why the ad revenue is trending downwards, is because more and more of the companies, the advertising agencies, are spending their money more wisely elsewhere, internet, YouTube, whatever.
Right.
Yeah, and that makes sense. But I'm saying is this is how TV channels make money. This is not. It's not nothing. This is how they make money. And once this ad revenue reaches a critical mass, I mean, by 2023, this projection is expecting it to drop from $42 billion this year to $36.6 billion in 2023, which is that's huge. So I think that once it reaches a critical mass, these companies, NBC, ABC, whatever, are going to look for other ways to drive revenue than just selling ads for over the air broadcasts. Maybe they will do more standalone streaming and stuff like that, because right now their streaming apps you only get as part of like Comcast or AT&T or whatever, right? You can't subscribe to them directly.
Well, you can subscribe to a lot of them. You
can subscribe to like ABC and NBC directly and just pay them directly.
Yep.
Oh, well, good.
Yep. Well, because the one of the big pushes for ABC in particular was Star Trek Discovery. Because that was, I believe, only available on the ABC streaming app.
And I think smart decisions like that are what's going to keep them around.
I love that show. A lot of people don't like that show. I like that
I've
show.
never watched any Star Trek. Not that I'm against it. I just haven't
It's a good
watched
one.
it. So
Yeah, I think that the amount spent is not really equal to the amount earned by the ad companies, and my point was that it's a zero. Yeah, the the stations are making revenue, of course, but I think that they also are getting enough revenue elsewhere now, where it's
well, I think the
where
split is changing. I'm not gonna look up like the fucking prospectus of NBC Universal Comcast conglomerate, but yeah, I think the major sources of revenue are shifting. But
what was that? Let me see the sheet. What is that?
what, the next one?
Yeah.
Electric car range. So I've had this problem with electric cars for a long time. I have problems with hybrids. And my problem with hybrids are that
They're pussy mobiles?
yes, but not the good way.
No, I know.
Right. Not, I don't want to go outside and rub it and tenderly stroke it.
Like, you wouldn't even fit.
Before I put myself inside it. No.
You wouldn't even be able to fit in one of those Leafs.
Oh my god. I'd fit in the back seat. Just remove
Laying
the front
down.
seat, sit in the back seat, and
Yeah.
push the pedals.
Other than the fact that most of them are hideous.
Well, okay, yes. Besides that, hybrids, people don't understand, people don't realize, like, okay, so your hybrid is going to get, let's take a Prius, for example, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but let's say it gets 50 miles to the gallon.
60.
50, 60, okay, on average, right? Your car also costs mid-upper 30s, 30,000s in that area for effectively a shitty four-door sedan.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Nowadays, yeah.
Right. So you have a shitty four-door sedan for 15,000 more than the average shitty four-door sedan.
Yeah.
It gets maybe 60,000 60 miles to the gallon. The statistic was something like the amount of harm that's done to the environment in the manufacturing of a Prius. You'd have to drive the car for 10 years to even break even, to be neutral on the amount of harm you've done to the environment. And that's all factored into the mining of the materials for the batteries,
lithium and all that.
the different acids, whatever. Then you ship, those are mined in like Canada, shipped to China or Japan to actually manufacture into batteries. Then the cars are manufactured, then shipped to the US, then sold to you. And it takes into account the diesel for the shipping and all that shit. So you'd have to drive the car for about 10 years to even break even. The problem is the batteries are only rated for 7 years. So after 7 years, then you're looking at putting another set of batteries into the car for more money. And then you're starting that cycle all over again.
Have you ever seen one of the batteries?
Oh, it's gigantic. They're the whole car.
It looks like somebody took 38 RC car batteries and just taped them together.
Yeah, it's gigantic.
It's just one big, group of lithium ion batteries. It's pretty weird looking, and it's very expensive to fix.
Yes, it is. It's like, I think the figure was like $2,000 or $3,000, something like that.
At least, yeah.
But so that's the Prius, and let's say it gets 60 miles to the gallon. Small, well, similarly sized vehicles in the UK and most of Europe that run on diesel,
yep,
will get anywhere from 50 to 80 miles to the gallon running on diesel without all of the, that's okay, you can open it, without all of the harmful, additional harmful effects of having to mine the batteries, whatever, the additional costs of replacing the batteries, not to mention the fact that those cars cost anywhere between $15,000 and $20,000, but they don't sell them here because they get 70, 80 miles to the gallon, and that doesn't support any of the oil industry special interests in the U.S.
Are we talking the actual reason, or are we talking the reason that they gave us? Because that is the actual reason.
That is the actual reason. The reason they give us is the same thing that happened to Volkswagen, is like
safety standards.
Yeah, all that bullshit. And it's funny because it's manufacturers that exist here. Ford makes more vehicles overseas and sells a wider range, especially now, a wider range of vehicles overseas than they ever have here.
Yes.
Like it's unbelievable, especially they're small, like the Fiestas and stuff like that. They've made those overseas for years, and they've sold them overseas for years, and they've been wildly successful. But there's no diesel Fiesta in the U.S.
No.
But if there was, it would be getting 70 to 80 miles to the gallon, but it would compete with the Prius and special interest, big oil lobbyists and whatnot. So the three aspects of the Prius. The price for value is garbage. The miles to the gallon is garbage when compared to comparable things, vehicles available in other parts of the world, and the actual harm you're doing to the environment is negligible garbage compared to other vehicles. So in my opinion, there's absolutely no reason to buy a Prius.
Now, this is just your stance on hybrids, not fully electric vehicles.
Not fully electric vehicles. So I wanted to start with hybrids.
Okay.
With fully electric vehicles, you still have the same issue regarding the batteries, whatever. But at least it's fully electric, so you're not paying for gasoline at all. You're not having any emissions. So the break-even point is much, much sooner. My issue with them is range. So let's say the vehicle has a 200-mile range. Right. I think that's low. The low end for some of the.
I think a lot of the Teslas are 300
in that area. Whatever the range is, I don't want to get super mega internet famous and then have Tesla sue me because that would suck.
All right.
So I'm not quoting what their range is. Whatever the range is, at the end of that, if I'm stuck somewhere that has gasoline but doesn't have their superchargers, I'm fucked. You can plug into any regular wall outlet, but that takes like 24 hours to charge the car. You know what I mean? There's no way to charge an electric vehicle that's as quick as going and filling up your gas tank.
Could you imagine like dying in front of like an IHOP and you're like, do you have an extension cable? I need to plug my car and just run an extension cable through the dining room.
And this is not Tesla specific. This is all electric cars.
Well, yeah, just
please don't sue us.
It takes a lot to charge a car.
Please don't sue us.
They're not good. Hey, I'm a big fan of Tesla, so
I'm a big fan of Elon Musk. I'm a big fan of Tesla's products. My problem would be getting stuck somewhere.
I think if you know the range of your vehicle, and I think that because Tesla, has all of the tools, on their big iPad dash, and you can clearly see a very accurate range.
They call it the T-pad.
Yeah,
it's the T-pad dash.
Yeah.
The Musk pad. Please stroke my Musk pad. Gently stroke your Musk pad to wake up the vehicle.
I think that you kind of. You have to plan around like a trip.
Sure, and there's a lot of they like in the car they tell you like the nearest stations and stuff like that, and I will say there are a lot in the suburbs of Chicago, in the suburbs of any big city, there are a lot of places that have like electric charging. They have special like parking spots at Kohl's for electric vehicles, and you can park your car, plug it in, go and do your shopping.
Yeah, but if you're doing like a
road trip or something like that, or what if you get stuck in traffic?
You don't. Well, you'd have to get stuck for a long time. I think.
Chicago.
It's true. I'm not saying that it's not possible, but I'd like to think that I've never ran into the problem in a gas car,
right?
So I don't think I'm ever going to run into a problem with
but
if
you did run into the problem in a gas vehicle, let's say you're stranded in the middle of nowhere with a gas vehicle, someone can bring you a gas can and put gas in your car. Someone can't bring you a new
electricity
Tesla battery.
Somebody can't bring you Well, maybe that's something that they have in the pipeline in the future. I
think it would be cool to be able to be like, let's say 60% of the battery, 60% of it was fully embedded in the vehicle. You had to charge it. But 40% of it was in like a crate that came out of the bottom of the trunk, right? Or the frunk, or whatever it is.
Whatever it is.
If 40% of the battery was able to be like hot swapped, that'd be dope. Like that way you could get 40% of your range, or even 20% of your range, right?
Like a battery reserve.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying so you have 80% of your battery is built into the car, but a second battery is able to be removed from the car and swapped out.
Yeah.
So you could swap it for a charged one. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
But patent pending.
But yeah, and I think
Don't sue me.
what is that noise?
That is a laptop losing its life.
That's not my laptop.
No, it's you. Since you stole my charger, my laptop is dying.
Yeah, I think it's something that maybe they will implement in the future, because I agree.
Patent pending.
I think having a secondary
Copyright R&D Studios, 2018.
Yeah, because we have the materials and the know-how to build a second battery.
What's funny is you don't need the materials or the know-how. All you need to be able to do is diagram it, describe it, and then pay $10,000 to get a patent for it, and then pay whatever ungodly amount of money it costs to defend that shit in patent court.
That's true.
Patent pending.
Making a Murderer. What is this?
Have you seen?
No.
You have not watched Making a Murderer.
I watched
the first season or the second season.
I watched a few episodes of the first season and got really upset, and then I couldn't watch it anymore.
Ooh, I'm excited. I'm excited to learn what you got upset about. So what I will say is, for those who've never seen it, Making a Murderer is a documentary on Netflix that follows the different criminal issues that Stephen Avery has had, and follows his nephew Brendan Dassey in the criminal issues that he has had. So essentially, very brief synopsis. Stephen Avery was put in jail in the 80s for a murder he did not commit. He got out in the 2000s. Well, don't shake your head. DNA evidence proved that he didn't commit that murder. I'm not saying he's a good person, but he didn't commit that rape and murder.
From a legal standpoint.
I don't think he did it from a penis standpoint either.
Um,
Anyway, there was DNA evidence that exonerated him. So he got out of jail in the early 2000s, sued the police department. Then he got arrested and tried and convicted along with his nephew for murdering and dismembering another person. And they're both in jail now. So the documentary alleges that they are innocent, effectively, or it's very extremely heavily weighted in the favor of them being innocent. And that the police are corrupt, the judges are corrupt, the county, Manitowoc County, Wisconsin is corrupt, and all of that. So that's the brief synopsis. Please tell me what you found to be uncomfortable and enraging.
So, I'm not gonna say that I'm super well versed in criminal investigations. But it was my major for about a year and a half was criminal justice. I have a very I'm a very pro criminal law, criminal process, in terms of I think that oh, hi. A lot of people, they criticize the justice system. And I've always been a big proponent of the justice system. And, I understand that sometimes innocent people are convicted. And I understand that sometimes innocent people...
I'm a big proponent of Lou Malnati's, but sometimes they fuck up my order.
That's true, yeah. But overall,
Lou Malnati's it's delicious. They do great work. Yes. I have full faith and trust in them.
Correct. So that's how I view it. I get really upset when I see, like the police department so blatantly not follow criminal proceeding and crime scene.
Probably good you didn't watch the rest of it then.
And I got upset. I think I stopped watching at the point where I saw that the keys mysteriously wound up in the bedroom or whatever, because the police were clearly planting evidence against him and the nephew, and I couldn't watch it anymore.
So wait, you're upset at the assertion that that's what happened?
Yes.
Or you're upset that the idea that might have actually happened?
Yes. That I believe strongly that it did happen.
Okay.
And the fact that the police would go so far as to break every rule and every law that there is, because they were so biased that this guy was guilty from a previous crime, that and they all were made kind of fools from the original crime and were sued, and he got paid like $250,000 or whatever it was.
Yeah, so he actually had to settle. The lawsuit was on. He was suing for up to 36 million.
Mhm.
It was like 1 to 18 million for one claim and 1 to 18 million for the other claim. So it was up to between 2 and 36 million. And the lawsuit was ongoing, and he got arrested and put in jail for this second crime while that lawsuit was going. So what he ended up doing was settling for like 250 or 300 grand just to get any money so he could pay defense attorneys for the second crime.
And even if you didn't know anything, just that is fishy enough, right?
Yeah.
Like this small town couldn't afford to pay
for $36 million, right?
They probably couldn't even afford to pay $1 million. So,
well, it was the county, but yeah, I understand.
But you know what I'm saying? Well, that still comes from somewhere. So the county definitely couldn't afford it. And then you look at the city, the state, that they because it was some podunk Midwestern
Manitowoc County,
yeah,
Wisconsin.
Just
so like east of Green Bay, I think. I don't remember.
Just that alone, yeah, the whole thing, the whole crime scene, the whole investigation, the beginning of it that I was watching, I just couldn't do it. Because as much, because I wanted to be a police officer when I was growing up. That was my thing. And I have a very strong code of, I don't know, like ethics or justice. I'm the type of person that if I was a police officer and my mom was speeding and I pulled her over, I'm giving her a ticket. I'm that guy.
I would give my mom a ticket too.
Yeah, maybe that was a bad example.
Yeah.
I'm giving you a ticket. Like you could be my best friend,
your
cousin,
sweet grandma,
my grandmother, my grandfather. Just because this is the rule. These are the rules that we all live by. If you want to speed and not get caught, that's your prerogative. If you speed and you get caught, game over. Like if you get a ticket, I've been given many tickets. And in fact, I've never been given a warning in my life. I've only received tickets. So watching that, I just got so sick to my stomach and I was like, I can't do it.
Yeah, it's probably good that you didn't watch
really
all of it because it gets
even worse.
Worse and worse and worse. So I think it's fair to say that I am on the side of a gross miscarriage of justice has occurred. Miscarriage? Is that a right word for that?
Well, it's a word.
I know. So a gross misuse.
Misuse. That's a good word.
Stuff. Yeah, it's bad. Real bad.
Yeah.
I am of the opinion. I'm not saying that either one of them are great people because there's all kinds of shit about Stephen Avery that he molested his 13-year-old niece and or 16-year-old niece or stuff.
Didn't he have like ex-girlfriends or something say he was violent or
he did, and his wife divorced him because supposedly he was violent and stuff. I'm not saying he's a good person. I'm not saying he treats women and respects women in a great way. I just don't think, with all of the evidence presented, I don't think he's guilty of this crime.
Right. Yeah. Convict him of the crimes we know he's.
And what about his nephew? Did you watch any of the interrogation of his nephew?
I thought the nephew had some sort of learning disability.
He does.
And I vaguely remember seeing an interrogation where they basically made him say that he was guilty, or it was posed as a statement.
They led him. So he does have a learning disability and a social disabilities and stuff like that. And so they interviewed him alone without a lawyer, without his parent. And over the course,
because that's what you do.
Right. He was 16 at the time. So over the course of 3 hours, they would ask him a question and then get mad at him and tell him that he was lying and they already knew what happened, and that if he just told them the truth, the quote unquote truth, that everything would be okay and he'd be fine. And so then he would guess again at what they want to hear, and then they would say no, and then they would basically tell him what they wanted to hear, and then he would repeat it. It's all fucked.
Woo,
man. And he's been in jail for 12, 13 years because of this.
Wasn't he like 18?
He was 16.
16?
He was 16.
My God.
He's still in jail.
All granted, he's has his own disabilities, but man, like,
Yeah, but he's not in like disabled jail.
No, I
he's
know.
in grown
That's
federal pound me in the ass
yes,
prison.
that's what I'm saying. I'm like, dude, 12 years.
Yeah, he's still there.
Oh, he deserves millions.
And the whole fucked up part
Millions.
is his appeal process is effectively over at this point.
Didn't he appeal and lose?
No. Well, okay. So he appealed he was convicted in the state court of Wisconsin. He appealed in the state court of Wisconsin, and he was denied. He appealed to the state Supreme Court of Wisconsin, and he was denied. They appealed to the federal district court, and the opinion was the confession was thrown out. His conviction was overturned. They said either give him a new trial or release him within a certain amount of time. The state of Wisconsin appealed that, and that went to the district court, the federal district court in Chicago, by a panel of 3 judges. The panel of 3 judges heard both sides, upheld the previous federal court's finding that the confession was inadmissible, and they overturned the conviction. They said let him out or give him a new trial. Wisconsin came back and said, okay, we want a panel of 9 judges to hear this instead of just the panel of 3. Panel of 9 judges heard it, and it was a 5-4 decision to uphold the conviction and keep him in jail. And now he's fucked. And then they appealed. They appealed to the Supreme Court of the U.S. Supreme Court didn't take the case. He's fucked.
Oh my God.
He has no more recourse unless there's new evidence or shit like that comes out, which there won't be. He's fucked. He's in jail for the rest of his life.
How long was it?
No, it's not the rest of his life. He'll be. I think he becomes eligible parole when he's like in his 50s.
Oh my God.
Right? It's fucked.
Oh man.
Which is interesting because Steven, who has all kinds of real prior convictions, and the prior conviction that was overturned of him raping somebody in the 80s, he actually has all kinds of different ways that he can appeal and stuff. He's nowhere near exhausting his appeal process to get out. But his fucking nephew, who was coerced into giving a confession, is fucked. So it'll be interesting to see, if and when Steven gets out, what happens with his nephew. Like, I don't even know what you do in that case.
Nothing. You won't.
I don't know.
Do anything.
I don't know. It'll be interesting. Like, you're convicted of helping, being an accessory to a murder, and then that murder gets thrown out. Like, I don't know what happens.
Like, if I'm trying to think if it's overturned for him,
for Brendan or for Steven?
For Steven,
mm-hmm.
Can that be used
as new evidence? I think it can. I think that's the only way that would work. But it's like, it's insane.
Then he could be like, well, I mean, this is precedent. Like, the court said that this didn't happen, and I,
I couldn't have been involved if it didn't fucking
happen. If it didn't happen, or if at least he wasn't involved, how could I be involved?
Right, exactly.
That is very interesting.
And there's all kinds of most of the second season of Making a Murderer goes through alternative theories of how the girl's name was Teresa Halbach, who got murdered. The theories about how she actually was murdered and how the body was destroyed and how the evidence was planted and all of that stuff. And she does all kinds of, the new attorney does all kinds of tests and all kinds of different things to sort of refute what the state said happened and poke holes in the state's timeline and all of that stuff. Not to mention the fact the prosecutor Ken Kratz of the original trial is just a boiling cauldron of donkey shit to begin with. Like, he's been accused and found guilty of all kinds of like sexual harassment and coercion and all kinds of weird shit, and which is why he retired early. And he's still out there. He still gives, like, he's not involved. He still gives, after the federal hearing of Brendan Dassey's, like, the final federal hearing where there were 9 judges instead of 3. He was there. He gave a fucking press conference outside for some reason. He's not fucking involved anymore. And he has no credibility to begin with because of all the other garbage things that he's done in his life and gotten busted for.
What a ball of shit.
What a steaming cauldron of donkey shit.
Yeah, I vaguely remember not liking him. Wasn't her body found in like a barrel?
So
on the
her
property?
body, parts of her body were found. First of all, okay, so the state didn't actually hand over evidence that showed all of the different areas that her body was found. So her body was found in 2 separate locations belonging to the county. Then her body was found in parts of her body were found in a barrel. Then parts of her body were found in a burn pit at Stephen Avery's place. But there's like a mile in between the places where her body, pieces of her bones were found.
Yeah.
There's no explanation for it.
Yeah, because Stephen Avery just decided that, well, I'll just drop a little femur here.
He's gonna jump in his helicopter and give a light sprinkling of pelvic bones over a quarry. Yeah. That makes perfect fucking sense.
Yeah,
not to mention the bullet they say
case closed.
The bullet they say killed her had her DNA on it, but didn't have any bone fragments or any. It was a .22 long rifle shell. Had none of her. It was supposedly shot through her head.
Oh, so it wasn't like a through and through where it
No,
went through.
they said it was a through and through, but that's the point. Is that if it was a through and through with this, there was a through and through with a bullet for sure. The bullet that they found, the lead that they found in Stephen Avery's garage, that they're alleging was the bullet that killed her, has no. It does have some of her DNA on it, and there are theories about how that got there, but it doesn't have any bone in the bullet. And there would be bone in the bullet if it had gone through her head.
Yeah. Oh, of course.
And yet there is wood and red paint on the bullet, which the garage is made of wood and was painted red. And there is a farmer who used to live there who testified to saying, "Yeah, I shot .22 LRs all over that property through the garage walls, all over the place. So there's shell casings all over the property." That's just one tiny little piece of it. Anyway, yeah, I was interested to see if you had seen it, and if you can stomach it, I highly recommend watching the rest of it. But it is very enraging.
Yeah, maybe I'll pick up. I think season 2 sounds less enraging, just with the alternate theories. And stuff.
So the first 2 episodes of season 2 are like about how the public reacted to season 1, and then a lot of season 2 is the new attorney going through like different tests and procedures, showing the alternate theories and sort of disproving the state's case.
Yeah, that sounds, because I already know that the first season, focused on the case, and that's gonna make me sick.
Yeah, and the second season does focus on Brendan's appeal process.
Yeah, so I'll pick up because it's in my suggestions, but I'll watch it.
It's in your in-person suggestions too. No. All right. Well, with that, folks, this would be the end. We're coming to a close.
Yep.
This is the part where I remind you that we are on iTunes. We are on Spotify. We are on podparadise.com. We are on YouTube. We also have a couple other series. One is already out, the Symphony of the Night Let's Play series. We may or may not be working on some other tasty things for you. We are available all over the place, so please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, mail us things to wherever you like. Just just send us happy thoughts.
Smash that like button.
Smash it.
We should get a P.O. box.
Oh my god, I don't want a P.O. box. People sending me old jizz. Actually, that'd be okay.
That'd be okay.
As long as it's dry. Fresh jizz is hard to handle.
Well,
it's hard to manipulate. What do you do with it?
I don't even know if you could send that over state lines.
Is it like if it's illegal?
It's like a biohazard.
Is it?
I would think so.
I mean, it's not.
Could you send a jar of blood across state lines?
People do it all the time.
Oh, okay.
Don't worry. I got a blood guy.
Okay.
I don't have a jizz guy. I got a blood guy.
You got a jizz guy right here, baby.
Hey, sweetheart. With that, feel free to play us out, buddy.